Hello everypony, Artelisiana here, or Anna here with Applejack, and we are going to react to The Pride of the Apples Chapter 2, The Offer, and as you know, I'm going to react to all of the chapters, so tomorrow I'm going to be reacting to Chapter 3, and yeah, that's actually all. 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Chapter 2, The Offer.
Every pony's saying you should learn to express your voice, but if talk doesn't seem like it's nice, luckily you have a choice. When you fight, you got the music, got the music, when you fight, you got the music, got the music,
The Ponytones record started over for the 10th time. Applebloom pressed her front hooves to her ears, grinding her teeth together in irritation. Granny Smith rocked in her chair, the creaking getting increasingly louder, almost as if to counter the sound of the record. Even Big Mac was annoyed by this time. Being a quiet pony, there was only so much of his own voice he could take. When Applejack had brought Calvados home, Applebloom had tried to greet him.
Hi there, Cal. Welcome home.
She had said, a large, welcoming grin on her face.
Remember me? I'm your little sister Applebloom.
Cal had merely wandered around the living room for a few seconds, then suddenly made a beeline for the record player. Applejack remembered that that was exactly what Cal had done the last time he'd come home. She then resolved to talk to Applebloom later. She'd seen that her sister had been upset at Cal's perceived indifference. In the middle of the record's progress, Applejack finally decided to attempt an intervention.
Cal, honey?
Applejack tried to speak to him.
Don't you think you've heard that record enough?
Cal wasn't listening. He was stomping in place and shaking his head around in excitement. This tended to happen when Cal became preoccupied with something. That record was now the only thing in the world to him.
Come on, Cal. I think this old record's had enough, don't you?
She made her way to the record player to stop it, but Cal saw her move and ran towards her, gently pushing her away and fussing.
Ponytail.
Applebloom nodded.
Yeah, Ponytones, we get it, Cal. But you're gonna wear a groove in the record soon. Why don't you give it a rest?
Cal whined insistently, shooing her away.
Ponytail?
I think you'd best let him alone, little spark. Cal goes off in his own mind sometimes. Why, I tend to do the same every once in a while. Why, just today I was in the kitchen begging for Cal and I... might have left off and on.
Applebloom sighed, glancing amongst her elders.
So, is that just what he does? Like, is it part of his condition?
Big Mac glanced at his brother with a worried look before answering,
Yep.
Applejack sighed as well, sensing tension already. She loved Calvados like any other member of her family, but the way he was made him difficult to care for. She was baffled by his behavior, but she was also worried for him. Their parents were the only ones who knew what to do for him. With them gone, their only option was to send him to Philadelphia for proper care. For years, Applejack had told herself that it was for his own good. It kept her from thinking that it was for her good as well.
Hey, Cal!
Applebloom suddenly spoke up.
Granny Smith baked you a big cinnamon apple pie. I'll bet it's done cooling now. Want some?
Cal looked up from his frenetic dancing and smiled.
Is right. Come on, it's in the kitchen.
Cal eagerly followed Applebloom into the kitchen, and as they left, the latter quickly turned and gestured to the record player. Apparently, this was her way of distracting him so that he wouldn't notice the record being stopped. Granny Smith and Big Mac merely rolled their eyes and smiled.
There, that's a little better. Cal's got good taste in music, but I don't know whether Dr. Lee's taught him about moderation.
Oh, the youngin's just egoist all. Want no home and being happy.
Yep.
Applejack agreed too, but something still bothered her. The entire household would be going back to work in the fields tomorrow, which meant that it was on herself, Mac, and Granny Smith to take shifts watching Cal, making sure he couldn't get into any mischief. Of course, teaching Cal how to use the heavy farm equipment was out of the question. No one really knew how much Cal retained whenever something was explained to him. That, combined with his zealousness and short attention span, made it difficult to find a decent job for him on the farm. Again, Applejack found herself wishing her parents were still here. They always knew how to handle their little colt. Although Applejack worriedly imagined that, were they alive, they'd be very disappointed with her. There was a knock at the door, and Applejack held back a groan. She was almost certain she knew who it was. Sure enough, she went to open the door, and one of her friends, Twilight Sparkle, stood on the other side.
Hi, Applejack. I was hoping I could have a word with you.
Applejack saw this coming and stepped back to let Twilight inside. Twilight walked in, and as Applejack closed the door behind her, she greeted the rest of the Apple family.
Hello, Granny Smith. Hi, Big Mac.
Well, hello, Twilight. Nice of you to come up and see us.
Yep.
Twilight turned to Applejack.
Listen, I think I know what's going on.
Hold on, Twilight. I gotta say something first. I wanna apologize for the way I acted before. I was a little too defensive, of my brother. And I guess I didn't care much for y'all asking so many questions. And me being snappy wasn't fair to any of you. I hope y'all can forgive me.
Oh, well, that's all right. I completely understand. He's your little brother, and the way he is, all you want is to keep him safe.
No, you don't understand. I wish you could, but even I don't understand him. None of us do. See, Cal's my baby brother, and I love him with all my heart. But I just don't know what to do with him. He don't talk like colts his age. In fact, he rarely talks at all. His ears and hooves are real sensitive, and once he gets a hold of something he likes, it's like he blocks the whole rest of the world out. And ordinarily he's pretty happy, but if he gets upset, well...
She closed her eyes and tilted her head down.
Truth is, I ain't sure how to figure out what's going on in that mind of his. His doctor told us about his condition and about how no pond is sure what it is, where it comes from, or what to do about it.
I understand, AJ.
Twilight repeated, more insistently.
Believe me, I do. There's no reason to be ashamed or anything.
Ashamed?
Applejack's tone went up slightly. It wasn't a yell, but she still sounded affronted.
Well, that's a right insensitive thing to say, Twilight. We're apples, and we never feel shame where family's concerned. I ain't ashamed of my brother just 'cause he's different. I wouldn't change him for all the bits in Equestria, and I don't take kindly to folks who think they know more about my brother's condition than they really do.
AJ.
Twilight placed both hooves on her shoulders to calm her down. She was now looking deeply into Applejack's eyes, a serious look in her own.
He's autistic, isn't he?
Applejack's eyes widened at Twilight's words. In the brief pause that followed, her eyes also began to mist over.
How did you know?
I've been doing some reading in the past few days. Look, I may not be the expert on the subject, but at least I know about Cal's disability. And I get why you don't want anybody else to know.
She fought back those tears for all she was worth, though. Crying would do her no good, and she knew it.
It ain't that, Twilight. It's just that if any pony in town knew, it'd make things complicated. No pony'd treat him like a normal pony, and I'm scared that he might be teased and made fun of. He don't know how to handle things like that.
Twilight took one hoof off of Applejack's shoulder.
But that's not all, is it?
She asked seriously. Applejack didn't respond. She merely closed her eyes and turned away again, as if in the very shame she tried to deny seconds earlier.
I never said you were ashamed of him, Applejack. All I said was that you're no need for it. I know you love your little brother. In fact, I think what you did for him was uncondemnable. You sent him to a place where he'd be understood and cared for properly, and would learn all the things he needs to learn, in a way that he could understand. There's no shame, Applejack. That's love.
Granny Smith and Big Mac had approached by this time.
We all did what we needed doing for Cal's sake, and his better pony foot,
Granny said, running a wrinkled hoof through her granddaughter's mane.
Yep.
Mac agreed, his voice matching the tone of the conversation. Applejack sighed again and shook her head.
I just don't know. His doctor said he needs to be with family often, but we just don't know how to take care of him. We need to start working on the fields tomorrow, so we need to take turns watching him while...
Twilight held up a hoof.
I'd be more than happy to help watch Cal.
No, you don't need to do that. Besides, Kale's not used to y'all. He'd get upset if I left him with some pony else.
Then I'll stick around until he gets used to me. I'll ask the others if they can help out too. I'm sure they won't mind. What do you say?
Applejack looked up and smiled at Twilight.
Even after I kept all this from you? Even though you don't even know Kale? You'd still be willing to do all that?
We're friends, AJ. Of course I would. I know Fluttershy, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash would love to. After all, we're family too.
Applejack!
All 4 ponies turned to the sound of Apple Bloom's scream and rushed into the kitchen in a panic. They walked in to see Cal standing on the kitchen table, up on his hind legs, reaching out to a cabinet with his front hoof. The table shook beneath him, and he looked as though if he leaned any further, he would fall.
I turned around for only a second. Really, I didn't see. I'm sorry, big sis.
One of Cal's back hooves slipped, and he wavered on the spot, close to falling. Suddenly, Big Mac raced toward the table, stood on his hind legs, and scooped up Cal with a front leg just as the colt took a tumble.
Nope.
Cal fell forward into Mac, and both ponies collapsed to the floor, shaken but otherwise unharmed. Cal looked jarred for a second. His eyes were wide and he was fussing again. But when he saw that he was on top of Big Mac, uninjured, he looked up at the stallion and giggled.
Big Mac? That funny?
Every pony sighed with great relief. Granny Smith walked up to them both and gently scolded.
Now, Cal, don't you go scaring your old granny like that.
Without looking away from the disaster that could have happened, Applejack leaned toward Twilight.
You know, I might just take you up on that offer.
Twilight nodded slowly as Cal, still on the floor with Mac, nuzzled Mac's ear, and Mac ruffled his brother's mane affectionately.
Aww. Oh my god, that was sad, this episode. Tomorrow again I'm going to react to the chapter 3. I still feel like it's a good story. I do believe that Cal is a little bit more fussing than the family that I have. But I know now that there are different forms of this autism. I didn't know that before I actually started on watching the video. But I was actually looking up a little bit on the internet just to get more aware of the things that it upholds and stuff like that. So I do really enjoy this. Also, I'm reacting to these, maybe I'm not reacting that much, but I'm listening to the story and I don't want to speak over the story because I really feel like it's necessary for you guys to hear it. Maybe I could have, skipped over the start where he plays the record again. But I do believe it's a important factor to look upon how it's, taken care of. And I really do feel for Applejack in this storyline because it must be hard to have it like this. Now, I don't have the same kind of problems with my family members. They're actually taking good care of themselves and stuff like that. And actually, I also found out that I maybe have a small bit of that also in me. but it's more like where I am the opposite. I really want to have, the connection and all of the people around me, and I really want to do stuff, and but there's also some way to look upon that. I'm going to stop the video for today. I really do hope that you enjoy these reactions, and as I said, the reason why I'm not saying that much or maybe reacting as much is because I'm listening to the story and just sitting and trying to relax. So that was actually all. I'm going to link to the episode down below, and for AJ Pony's channel, I have also reacted to episode 1, and you can go back and watch that if you want to. But that is actually all for today. Do remember that inspiration is right around the corner. Do remember to take care of yourself and your loved ones. And that was actually all. Yeah, okay, bye.